Oh my God, you guys. Evil Dead Burn has begun its production. It's gone to camera. Holy cow. As you guys can tell over my shoulder there, I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. You know, Halloween is my favorite slasher franchise. Michael Myers is my boy. But Evil Dead, that's my favorite horror movie franchise of all time. Strongest franchise in horror history. I don't care what you say. Fight me. Let me know in the comments if you want to contest that. I highly doubt you do. When the weakest film in the franchise is between Army of Darkness and Evil Dead Rise, you got yourself a pretty strong franchise right there. I don't even think Scream could compete because 5 and 6 really are a pretty big step down. But anyways, we're talking about Evil Dead here. Guys, Sébastien Vanicek is shooting this film, wrote it with his buddy that he, wrote Infested with, and we've got a couple pictures here. So I want to jump into this article written by John Squires from Bloody Disgusting. And the article here says, we are almost exactly 1 year away from the Evil Dead franchise's return to the big screen with Evil Dead Burn. And we've learned that production has officially kicked off this week. Evil Dead Burn is being directed by Sébastien Vanicek, and Warner Brothers will unleash the film in theaters on July 24th, 2026. Check out Vanicek's on-set update below. And yeah, he wrote the film along with Florent Bernard, who wrote Infested with him. And we've got Hunter Doohan, Lucian Buchanan, and Tandy Wright, who played Pearl's mother in Pearl. Fantastic performance in that film. So I'm very much looking forward to what Tandy Wright is going to bring to this film. And I don't know her from really anything else, but man, not many people are in Pearl. She really was, one of the big anchors of that film. And they're set to star opposite Suela Yakub. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. Lovely name, but I might be mispronouncing it. They're all starring in Evil Dead Burn. Vanicek says, I told the studio that I wanted to make a nasty film, a film that hurts, from which you come away tested. I'm going to put all the horror I have inside it. It will be cathartic, and if I haven't ruined my career and I continue to make films behind it, I will move on to something other than horror. So here is one of the images, but I've got a better way of showing you guys the images here. So an image there of the clapper. Now, guys, if you look closely, you do see some kind of Necronomicon art on the side. I zoomed in on this picture. I tried to find some sort of hint of what this movie might be about. But, we've got the Kandar on the right side next to that skull, written vertically. You can see the word Kandar. So, that's one of the spell words that's used throughout the franchise. And really just, kind of just like rough concept Necronomicon art here on the clapper. And then, this shot I'm sharing secondly because it's, far more obscured and not as, I don't think as interesting as that first black and white shot. But here we can actually see, the camera being held and getting ready to shoot. And I can't really see, they're really doing a good job of not giving anything away. I'll say that. I wanted to be able to like zoom in and find something that would be a little bit of a tidbit because I am such a fucking stan for this franchise. I love it so much. I wanted to see something that would give a little bit away, but I'm just not seeing that. But yeah, guys, with Evil Dead Burn, let me know in the chat if you're watching live. And if you're watching after the fact, let me know in the comments, what do you think this movie is going to be about? I am so curious to know what the next film is going to be called. And I think there's a little bit down here. Let me see. Ghost House Pictures also recently hired Francis Galuppi to write and direct yet another brand new Evil Dead movie, which doesn't yet have a title. And I think we're going to get that one in 2027. And I want to let you know how I'm feeling about these Evil Dead films as a huge fan. I'm super pumped that Bruce, Rob, and Sam still have the rights to these films. I think that's very important. We haven't seen a Jason movie since 2009. We haven't seen a Freddy movie since 2010. So I think when the producers still maintain the rights and they're able to find talent that they believe in, that they want to entrust with these properties, I think that's super encouraging. And I know I asked you guys to let me know in the chat and let me know in the comments what you think Burn is going to be about. I'll tell you my theory. I think Evil Dead Burn is going to be like a Salem witch hunt, witch trials kind of era film. I think it's going to be a colonial American film. So imagine a movie that's set in a similar time as like The Witch, maybe 100 years later. Maybe the church finds the Book of the Dead. Maybe the Book of the Dead was brought over on, you know, the Mayflower or one of those ships from Europe. Maybe the church has been poking around trying to find something in it. They unknowingly awaken these demons. They blame it on these young women, call them witches. I mean, we've heard that term in the franchise. In Evil Dead 2, Ash says, I'm going to go down there and we're going to carve ourselves a witch. So we've heard that term witch used within this franchise. And then when I think of burn, I'm like, oh, well, they used to burn witches at the stake. So when I hear Evil Dead Burn, I'm like, ooh, 1700s, 1600s, witch hunt, you know, finding a way to sort of wrap it up into American history. And I think there's such an interesting way that we could go with Evil Dead, you know, to where we could see all of these kind of anthology films start taking place, you know, a different spot in the globe in a different era of time. And I think that's the most exciting and encouraging thing about the Evil Dead franchise. We want, how many times have we said like, oh, we need, like, if Halloween's going to come back, we want it to be an anthology. It would have been so cool if it stayed an anthology. We talk about this in all of these franchises. And guys, honestly, outside of the first three films, like this is an anthology franchise. The Book of the Dead from Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, and Army of Darkness is a different book. It's a different volume of the same book that was used in Evil Dead 2013, that was directed by Fede Alvarez. But what we learned in Evil Dead Rise with that book and with the vinyl that is listened to in that film is there's 3 volumes of this book. That's the coolest thing right now about the Evil Dead franchise, is really all we need is for one of these 3 books to be involved. So maybe Sébastien Vanicek includes the 2013 book. Maybe the next film by Galuppi includes the original book. Anyways, I could keep on talking about Evil Dead, but I'm very excited about where this franchise could go. Obviously, I'm a huge fan, and I'm going to be there day one. This is, to me, is the franchise that really hasn't done any wrong. I was disappointed with Evil Dead Rise when I first saw it in the theater because I just wanted it to like really push things. It's still a really good movie. And I was probably too big of a jerk. Let me know in the live chat if you're hanging out. If you're watching after the fact, let me know in the comments. What do you think about Evil Dead Burn? What do you think this movie is going to be about? How do you feel about the franchise as a whole? And, you know, are you looking forward to the future of the Evil Dead franchise? I don't know. I feel like a lot of people kind of sleep on this franchise, you know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of the younger folk don't sleep on it. It feels like everyone's obsessed with Terrifier and all that other kind of stuff. I think the Evil Dead can do just as much gore-wise as Terrifier, but I also think Evil Dead since 1981 has been doing far more with the lore than Terrifier's done in 3 movies within the last 15 years. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content, because we're going to be covering horror movie and TV news on this channel all the time.